go home Monday. We're gonna work till Sunday. It's breakfast with Bob and Mr. Alexander.
We have a studio audience here at beautiful Huggos. This is Breakfast with Bob 2015 edition. We're presented by EAS Sports Nutrition, Cliff Bar, Timex, Roca, Thanya Porter Resort, Rudy Project, and we are streaming on slowtwitch.com. Our guest, three-time Ironman World Champion. How about a round of applause for that? Three-time, the course record holder, Mr. Craig Alexander, who is very calm, cool, and collected because TGINR, you're not racing.
No, it's a different experience for me this year, but having a good time so far. And as always, mate, it's great to be here with you.
So my favorite thing is this: you are probably busier this week
Yeah.
than you have ever been.
No, absolutely. When I would be racing here, for me, it was all about performing on the day, so I would lock myself away.
Yes.
And my sponsors were very gracious in letting me do what I needed to do to prepare. And not racing this year, I think this is the busiest week I'm going to have all year. So, but I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to catching up with a lot of people you only see here and getting out and about and really enjoying the atmosphere, which is really kicking in at the moment.
So when you came over here in 2007 for the first time and took second first time out, obviously you're a preparation guy. You knew what it took to do well. A lot of people, it takes years to do well here. You did well right off the bat. What did you learn from that first time?
I think there's, you can outsource for as much advice and knowledge as you like. There's things you can only learn by racing and experiencing the atmosphere, the week, and race day, the conditions and what it does to your body. So I certainly didn't come here the first time thinking I could win right off the bat, but I did come here thinking I'm capable of a great performance straight away. And I felt I prepared the right way and spoken to the people who knew what it took to win here. But that first year, I'm very proud of that performance, but I certainly learnt that I needed to push it a bit harder. And I mean, I just had a lot of mental images of Paula and some of the greats. That year Paula collapsed on a Leahy Drive. And
95,
Yeah, so as a student of this race and the sport, I knew all of the history here, and I was determined to at least get to the finish line that first year.
And then you come back and win. And a lot of times people get to second and then they never bridge and get to the point where they actually win the race. Winning the race, what did that mean to you in your career?
It's hard to put into words. I wish I could be articulate and tell you it meant everything. I mean, it was a dream. I watched the race 10 times before I'd ever even done my first triathlon.
Yeah.
So to actually be here, I think I remember running into you and Huddle at the pier the day before my first ever race.
Yes.
And I was just happy to be here. And to win, it's a whole nother level. It's the culmination of a decade or more of work, and to have my whole family here, I can't put into words what it was to win and to follow in the footsteps of my sporting idols, Dave and Mark and Greg McKeely, Paula. You can't put into words and do it justice, what it actually feels like to run down a Leahy Drive. I mean, that in itself is an amazing experience, but to run down there in first place, I don't think I'll ever be able to articulate what that's like. It's just incredible.
Then you come back the following year and defend. And now you've got a formula, right? Be in the right place on the bike, use my run, and win the race. And so you win it that second time. The third year, Chris McCormick said, okay, we're not going to let Craig stay there. We've got to attack on the bike. And what I always love is when a champion reinvents himself. Not to say that you weren't a great cyclist, but they strategized to take the run out of you. And it worked. Macca wins. So you come back in 2011. After that, after not winning in 2010, what did you do to basically reinvent yourself?
Well, I didn't reinvent the wheel, but I certainly went back and looked at every little detail.
Yeah.
And I had to be more vigilant. I was going to be 38, so that had to be factored in. People kept telling me no one that age had ever won. But I was always confident that not that I had another win in me, that I had another great performance.
Yeah.
And, that year I finished fourth in 2010. I still ran a 2:41 and possibly came here with the best shape I ever had.
Yeah.
But I looked at everything from equipment choices through to a better bike fit a better position on the bike, and all those things that, I look these days at Seb and Jan, and everybody does it.
Right.
And it's, it's the next evolution of the sport, that the guys and girls these days are taking it to another level of professionalism, which I really love. But, it gave me the chance to do a lot of things that I always wanted to come here and ride aggressively, but I'd watched Dave and Mark win the race, and they always won it with a low 240 marathon or 240, 241, and
That was the formula.
a 430 to 435 bike ride. And so I thought that's what I'm going to emulate. I looked at who the great champions were and thought, well, that's what you have to do to win here. And I know there was a lot of criticism about particularly my riding, but I felt if I swam in the top 5 and I never missed the front group here, that would set up my race. If I rode with the Andy Ray alerts and the Faris Sultans of the world and Nico Lanos Marino, that would set me up. And if I could unleash a 240 marathon at the end, I always felt that was the key to a great performance for me. But coming back in 2011, I wouldn't say I changed too much in the training. I changed some of the equipment, and my mindset was I'm going to be not reactive on the bike. I'm going to be proactive. I'm not going to wait for other guys to make some moves. I'm going to make a few of my own. And I got away with Lieto early, and Luke and Marino came with us. And I think I posted at that point was the 4th or 5th quickest bike split in the history of the race.
And took what? Over 10, 12 minutes off of your time from the year before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
13 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and then was still able to run a low 240 marathon. So it was a great day for me.
And you end up breaking the course record. When did you realize that you might have the course record? Or did you until afterwards?
I realised at Kauai High on the bike coming back that I was having a great day, that I just felt good. And you dream about feeling that way in the race, because even the years you win here, it's tough. There's never an easy meter to be had on the course here, in the swim, the bike, or the run.
Yeah.
So in 2011, I just felt really good. And I just remember thinking, just enjoy this. This is what you've dreamt about feeling like in the race. And I hopped off the bike, and I think at that point the race clock was 5:19. So I did the maths. Yeah, I'm not a genius, but I did the maths, and I figured if I ran a 240, I'd be close to 8 hours. But to be honest, I wasn't really thinking I need to break the record here or break 8 hours. What I need to do is hold off a rampaging Andy Raylett and a few other guys. And so I just set about running the best marathon I thought I could. And that being said, I did get caught up. Andy did drag me into the battle, and I went out of my race plan a little bit, which cost me late. I had a little walk and a stretch. But that's racing. They're the decisions you make in the heat of battle. And, it was a great day.
So you get the course record. And I always look at, with athletes, especially aging athletes. So here you have this world-class performance in October. Then you come back in, March?
Yep.
Ironman Melbourne.
Yeah.
And at Ironman Melbourne, we're talking, 50-minute swim, 4:24 bike, 2:38 marathon.
Yeah.
And you needed every second of it.
Yeah.
Went 7:57:44
Yeah.
to knock off Cam Brown, who went 8 hours and ran 2:41. So it's not like you could ever relax. So you had 2 world-class performances within 6 months. And normally, in the past, you would be taking time off during that spring, right? Or building into a season rather than full-on training for Melbourne.
No, absolutely. I mean, Melbourne, I had to go very, very deep into the well.
Yeah.
And obviously it wasn't just Cam, there was Frederick,
Yes.
Nico Lanos, Luke McKenzie, Joe Gambles, Greg Bennett. It was an unbelievable field, and which was part of the draw that got me there.
Sure.
I think one of the best things you can have as an athlete, and probably in life as well, is be self-aware. And when WTC changed the rules, I needed to really look at my strengths and weaknesses, and I wasn't the kind of athlete who could just go and validate. I wanted to win races,
Yeah, you weren't just going to cruise.
No.
If you're going to the starting line, you're there to race.
And that's a strength, but the big picture could also be a weakness when you have to be in that sort of shape again in October. So I don't blame anyone. It was my decision, and I don't regret it for a second, because Melbourne in 2012 was one of the great races I'll remember. Cam and I still talk about it.
Absolutely.
But there's no question, as a 39-year-old, to run a 2:38, that race took me a long time to get over. And, I look back at 2012, it was one of my best seasons. I broke the course record at Eagleman, and I got a silver medal at 70.3 Worlds, but Kona that year was just a bridge too far. I couldn't keep my body in one piece. And, I think looking back, hindsight is, it's always great to look back in hindsight. Right. There's no question doing 2 really tough Ironman races back to back, it hurt me. And
sure.
I probably never really recovered from it. But like I said, I knew my personality, and maybe I should have removed myself from that situation. But racing those guys in Australia in a regional championship and racing for the Greg Walsh Trophy of all things.
Yes.
You couldn't have kept me away. So, they're the decisions you make.
And when you look back on it now, you look from 2007 to 2014, you were here with your family.
Yep.
Basically, Lucy grew up here
Yeah.
in Kona as part of this.
Yep.
As an athlete, you live a fast lifespan, right? At the
Yeah.
age of 39, 40, when people are sort of in the middle of their career, your career
You're done.
You're done.
Yeah.
So when you look back on this 7 years of Kona, what does it mean to you?
Oh, it's very special. I mean, I remember being a 10-year-old and watching the race here on the wide world of sports back home. To actually have then gone on to become a triathlete and a professional triathlete and have raced and won here, this will always be a special place for me. This year actually is the first time I've ever been here without Neri and the kids, so that's different. But I love it here. Just the memories, not just the racing memories, the family memories. We've
Yes.
spent 1 month a year here for the last almost a decade. And
Yes.
it's just an incredible place. You know, the last thing Neri said when she dropped me at the airport was, enjoy yourself, have a fun week, and be proud of what you've done. So, that's what I'm going to try and do this week.
I love it. Craig Alexander, as always, first class guy. How about a round of applause for Mr. Craig Alexander? Again, this is Breakfast with Bob, presented by EA Sports Nutrition, brought to you by Cliff Bar, Timex, Roca, Tanya Porta Resort, Rudy Project, and we're airing on slowtwitch.com. And we wouldn't be complete without our man, Pancho. Man.
It's Aloha Monday, don't work till Sunday. Oh. It breakfast with Bob and brother Craig Alexander.
Woo!